Hey guys, so the other day I thought to myself, what exactly is going on in this guitar pedal cupboard I've got going on here with all my do-it-yourself guitar pedals? What would it look like if I just pulled them all out and put them on the floor and counted actually how many I've got? And the glorious result can be seen right here. So that is actually 84 pedals. So I've built that over about 10 years. I've obviously built a lot more than 84 pedals. I've built some that I've sold. Not a ton that I've sold, but there's been a few, maybe 30 or 40 on top of that. So of all these pedals, which is my favorite? So obviously, little difficult to say which one of these awesome pedals is my absolute favorite. But what I'm going to do is go through and pick out some standouts. So these are the shining examples amongst that particular type of effect. And I'll play a little 10 or 15 second clip just so you can have a quick listen as to what it actually sounds like. And if you want to hear that effect in more detail, I have build reports and sound demos on pretty much all of these pedals, so you can go and research that particular pedal and see if it's your cup of tea. So let's look at some overdrive pedals first. So let's start with this one, which is the Sunbox. This is a clone, a Mad Bean do-it-yourself etch layout. It's a very good overdrive, and I know there's a lot of hype around the Klon, but I like it. You know, I like it just as much as a Tube Screamer. It's got maybe a little bit more than a Tube Screamer. I think it's got a little bit more bite than a Tube Screamer. So if you want to go to the extra complexity of the build, because there is additional steps that you need to take to build a Klon over just something like a straight out Tube Screamer, then you know it's a good option. Another one in the overdrive field is my Night Drive, which is based on a Love Pedal Eternity. Again, it's a lot simpler than a Klon, and it sounds a little bit like sort of like an unrefined Tube Scream, which is kind of why I like it. And another one from the overdrive category, but this one's in the low gain spectrum, is the Honeybee, which is a do-it-yourself etch from Mad Bean. Really good overdrive. This is one of my favorite overdrives that I have. Even though it doesn't get up to the sort of gain level as the other two that I just showed you, it does very well. Okay, let's talk about Fuzz, baby. Let's talk about you and me. I got so many Fuzz pedals here, it's ridiculous. So this is going to, and a lot of them are really good, so it's going to be difficult for me to break this down. But I'll do this, I'll try and just pick out a few highlights. So the first one would be the Fuzz Factory. I actually have two versions of this. This is the Mad Bean do-it-yourself etch. This is my version, the Berserker Fuzz. And the only difference is mine's got a tone control, input cap tone control. Pretty basic mod, but it adds a whole bunch of functionality to it. But the standard Fuzz Factory is just fine, and I was using that one for years. It's good. It's a good introduction to Fuzz if you're not sure if Fuzz is your thing, because it just does so much stuff. But just give it some time, give it some of your time, and you will be rewarded. So of course there's the fuzz face. I don't actually have one here because mine I actually sold. I flipped it. So yeah, I don't actually have a fuzz face, but that's worthwhile. That's an honorable mention. But in the tone bender spectrum, that you have a large variety of options. My favorite that I've built, I have, just so you know, what I've built, what I can see at the moment without thinking too hard about the situation. I've got my Hydra Fuzz. I've got the Buzz Box, which is a Bulb and Burdens buzz around, and I've got the Stone Blender, which is a soul bender as well. Both of those are Mad Bean etchers. For me, it's a tight. It's quite a close. A close first position between my Hydra Fuzz and the Soul Bender, but I'll be totally honest with you. I probably think this one would come in number 1, with the Hydra shortly behind in number 2. So it's based on the Soul Bender, and it's an awesome chocolatey sounding fuzz. It's just got such a lovely tone. So of course there's the Big Muff, and no pedal collection's complete without one. I can't pick mine. I've got a few of them. I can't actually pick it just offhand here, but another one that stands out, which is a bit of an oddball and may not be your cup of tea, but I particularly like it, being a Smashing Pumpkins fan from the early 90s, of course, is the DBE Pumpkin Pie. I've been playing this a lot, and it sounds wonderful through my new amp, the Mesa Boogie up there. It just sounds beautiful. On the fat channel, it sounds, I could play along with Smashing Pumpkin songs all day long. It sounds great. So that's a little bit of it may not be exactly what you're after, but this one is one of my favorite adaptations of the Big Muff. It's the new kid on the block at the moment, but I love it. And an honourable mention to the Fuzzy Dice, which is it's based on an Os Mutatus fuzz pedal. It's a fuzz modified silicon fuzz. No, hang on. Yeah, silicon fuzz factory. I've got a germanium transistor in there, but you can use silicon transistors. And I was playing this one the other day too, and I forgot actually how good it sounds. No idea what the Mad Bean project name for that one was called, but I'll leave a note on the video after I look it up on the computer. So that's enough about fuzz. I'll just pick out a few boosts that I like, and ones that I often grab. The LPB one is just such a simple, easy, nice sounding boost. It's a really good one if you're a beginner. And this is my SMD LPB one, which is a tiny little board. The board inside, because it's SMD, it's only tiny. It's about that big. You could put that easily inside a guitar cavity. It's just going to take up the potentiometer will take more room than the actual PCB. It's absolutely tiny, and it's a good one. It's nice and simple, and it sounds good. I don't think I'll actually demonstrate these boosts, because a boost is kind of a boost, and it's hard to tell over the camera how it actually sounds. But I'll just shoot some names at you. So the other one is the Succubus Boost, which is based on a, I'm pretty sure this is another Mad Bean etch, and it's based on the ZVEX Super Hard-On. Really, a really powerful boost. And then just a little oddball boost. Well, it's kind of a bit of an oddball boost. The Germanium Booster, which is a range master with the input cap tone mod on it. I have a range master project on my web store, which is the Tone Master. Same thing, except it's got a knob on the front. Something that's a little bit different. You know, if you want to get sort of more of a vintage boost sound, then that would probably be a good option. All right, let's round off the clipping, the boosting and clipping pedals that I've got with some distortions. Proco Rat, of course. I actually have a DBE DBE Rat clone, which I'm working on at the moment, being the Tasmanian Devil, or the DBE Tasmanian Devil, as it's called. This is the original one I built from TonePad, a do-it-yourself etch board. Don't worry about not having an LM308. Don't fret. It still sounds awesome if you use an OP07. OP07 sounds great. So yeah, build one. They're really cool. Now, some of these distortion pedals I haven't used for so long, I actually forget what they sound like, and I have to actually, now I've got them all out of the cupboard, actually have to give them a listen. And I'd have to go with something in more of the amp simulator spectrum of things. Mad Bean Upper Decker, which is based on the Wampler Triple Rec. I've only built 2 amp simulator type of circuits, this one and the Dr. Boogie. I don't like the tone from the Dr. Boogie. It's very hard to get the top end fizz out, whereas this one doesn't have that issue, so this one would be my pick. So that's just a couple. There's more distortions in there that I like. This is another good one, the Storm Cloud Distortion. Can't remember what it's based on, but it's a good distortion. I just don't want to drag this video on for too long. So let's move on to modulation, because there's quite a few in there that I want to talk about as well. So the first thing, when I say modulation, let's just say everything that's not a distortion, fuzz, or a boost. So the first thing that I'm looking at here, which I have to mention, is the Prismatic Reverb. This was a Dead Astronaut layout, but there's other ones now. He still has them, and by all means support the guy because he's awesome. But you might be able to find other layouts out there as well. And it's an awesome reverb. Have a look at that video. The video that I made on about the Prismatic Reverb got a lot of attention. Got as far as my videos go, a lot of people it got a lot of views and likes. And it's purely because it's such an awesome effect. In the delay town, I'd say the Fleet Beacon, but really you don't need to, which was based on the Sea Urchin from memory. This is going back quite a few years. The Sea Urchin. I'll leave a note which one it is. It was a Mad Bean layout, and it turned into a massive mess with UV lights and stuff, but still works. Really, it doesn't need to be this particular layout though. Any PT2399 layout is good. The PT2399 sounds the same. It's just different flavors of the same sort of distortion. This is probably one of the better ones, slightly better, but even just a Rebot or any of the other PT2399 layouts will they all sound good. For some crazy whacked out computer-like sounds, kind of like a bit crusher on steroids, I'd go with this one. It's the Parasite Audio Arcadiator. Really cool bit crusher type of effect. If you're looking for something like that, you know, or I think another one's called the Wolf Computer or something. I seem to remember reading years ago, 8-9 years ago, quite a long time ago. So it's that sort of effect. Have a listen to the video for this one if you're in the market for something that's kind of a bit wacky and computerized sounding. You can do some great 8-bit tunes on it, like, you know, the Mario Brothers theme or whatever sort of theme you want. This is the beast that you want for that. And although this is not specifically a do-it-yourself effect, I thought I'd just mention it. The Quavorato, I probably got that one wrong again, harmonic tremolo. This is a Zeppelin Design Labs project which you can build yourself. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning it, because they've given you the option to actually do it yourself, which is pretty cool. A really full-featured tremolo, and it sounds great as well. There's so many features on it, it's ridiculous. Yeah, you get the actual kit quite cheap if you're building it yourself. They give you quite a big discount if you're going to build it yourself, which is, I thought, a pretty nice thing for them to do, because obviously they don't have to do it. They could just release it as a commercial effect without having to do that. So that's a really good tremolo. It's kind of do it yourself loosely, but we'll just go with it for the moment. And of course, the other one is the Tremulous Loon, which is awesome. Really beautiful tone, lovely tone from this thing. The tremolo effect, it sounds old school, but it sounds warm, and it's probably still one of my favorite tremolos. Now for compressors, I'm not a compressor kind of guy, and I've only built 3. The one that stood out for me was the Ross compressor. It's using a chip that's kind of obsolete though, so you might have trouble building that, but I'm sure someone has adapted the CA3080 to a LM13700. So just get a layout where you don't need to use the obsolete parts, because it turns into a real nightmare. You have to order them on eBay, and it just turns into a bit of a challenge. It's much easier if you get one that uses the parts that are still in production. So the Ross compressor is probably my pick for out of the 3 compressors that I've built. I've only built 1 flanger and it wasn't very good, so I'm not even going to bother mentioning that one. The small stone clone from TonePad, can't remember what the project's actually called, but this one was a TonePad layout. It is, the only reason I'm picking this one up is because I'm pretty sure I have another one somewhere, but I can't remember which pedal it actually is. That's the problem without putting labels on some of these pedals. They get a little tricky to find. But any small stone effect, and again, I'd try and pick one that has in production parts and not CA3080s, which are a real pain to source at the moment. Either that or a P90. Again, I do have a P90 here, and if I can find it after I finish recording the video, I'll put a little sound clip on for you. But honestly, the small stone with in production parts will be easier to build, and I'm kind of partial to both, but I think I like the small stone a little bit better because it has a more pronounced phaser effect. And you've got the small clone, the CE2. I go for the small clone, and again, because it's got a stronger, it sounds to me like it has a bit of a stronger effect than the CE2. But it's much of a muchness. Just pick the layout that you're comfortable with. They're both good choruses. And this is a TonePad layout, but again, I know for sure I have another small clone somewhere in here, but I can't remember which one it is because I didn't write the label on the front, which is very inconvenient. But I'll give you a sample of this one anyway, because they sound pretty much the same. Just a couple of other honourable mentions. The FSH1, really good spacey sounds. If you're into sort of wacky spacey stuff, that's the one to build. Or a filter sample, a fabricated filter sample hold PCB, because it's quite a complicated effect. So don't make your life too difficult. Use a layout that's trusted and one that's already fabricated for you. Etching that thing was a killer. It was really hard. So FSH1. And also a do-it-yourself power supply, because all these pedals need power, so you want to have a nice clean power supply as well, and that was a do-it-yourself PCB. The first one I made was from TonePad, which was an etched one, but it was unreliable, so I ended up making my own version of that on a fabricated PCB. Can't give you a sound demo of that, of course, but yeah, any do-it-yourself power supply, something reliable and clean. So that's my do-it-yourself guitar pedal collection as it stands at the moment. Some come, some go. This is where I'm at the moment. There are some effects in there that I love so much that I will never get rid of, including all the ones that I've mentioned in this video. So I hope that helped. Maybe you're thinking about the next project you want to do and you want some ideas. These are just some of my recommendations. Do a bit of research. There might be more up-to-date versions of some of the pedal effects that I'm mentioning here. Yeah, hopefully it gives you a bit of a rundown on some of the standouts for me, at least, for pedal clones. Thanks for watching. If you found it useful, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for more of this sort of stuff. Thanks for watching. Cheers.